Hello everyone, and welcome to today's discussion on determining your learning style. So what we're going to be using today as a reference point is the VARK model of learning styles, which was developed by Mills and Fleming in the early 1990s. So you may be asking, what does VARK stand for? It is an acronym after all. So it represents the 4 learning styles that can be commonly observed in many different types of learning environments. And it's useful for you in that it can help you in determining and assessing what is the ultimate way of learning. How do you most easily take in information and convert it into meaning? So let's go through this acronym. So VARK stands for visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. So each of those 4 elements certainly do make up this model, and of course there's crossover between them as well, which is called a multimodal way of thinking. So thinking and the way in which we process the different stimulus and information that comes our way is critical, because without this, there's no stepping stone to being able to create value and therefore being able to be successful in any project you wish to undertake, professional or personal. So let's discuss this further, and as I'm speaking, start to think about what sort of learning styles you feel will naturally resonate with you. There may be learning styles that you've actually adapted to over the course of time because of your industry requirements. Or you may just have throughout your entire life and schooling realized that you have particular learning styles and really worked to accommodate those so that learning can be a joy. So let's begin with V for visual. So there are many different ways to visually learn. There are some people who actually can memorize and have a photographic memory for being able to take in large amounts of information and then be able to replicate and repeat that at a later stage. True photographic memory is very rare. Many people have trained themselves, however, to have a semi-photographic memory. Rather than being able to recount every single word on a page, they're able to read through a page of information and then perhaps a week later recite to a high degree of accuracy the actual content and information contained within that page. So visual learners extend beyond the written form as well. There are many visual learners, for example, in disciplines like architecture and anything in the arts. The reason being they need to understand how they can create solutions for spaces, how they can represent a certain emotion or experience or culture by the visual creation which they are creating. So visual learning is certainly an element in every industry because all industries rely on certain visual cues, whatever these may be. However, visual learners will often refer back to information and they reference an image. They reference being able to remember being in a certain environment and what it looked like and who was present and the look and the feel of the space as well. So if you do use these sorts of language, it can be an indicator that you may be more inclined to being a visual learner. Consider also the people in your life, whether they be adults or children, and what they refer to as the core learning areas and what they really respond well to and resonate with as well. So that's visual. Then we have auditory, and auditory truly is sounds. So whether those sounds be spoken word, whether it be in the form of music, and a range of other different auditory sounds. It could be listening to, for example, say you work in the construction industry, it can be very important to listen to different sounds as a particular building is being constructed to ensure that there are safe environments for all involved and that the particular materials being used being put together in such a way which is what you're intending. So being an auditory learner, someone that can literally listen for hours and hours, maintain focus, then repeat and also verify that particular information at a later date. Then you have your reading and writing. Now this is quite interesting. So there are certain subsets of people that through reading and writing is when they can best learn. Now this may not be reading and writing precisely what it is they've seen. This could be writing the conclusions that they have themselves drawn from a particular experience or range of knowledge bases. So that's when it comes to writing and creating all those different strands of understanding, bringing them together and then making some sort of logical, coherent or creative solution to the particular issues at hand. And then when it also comes to reading, reading is sort of the input and then writing is the output. So the input is very important to determine what sort of sources of information that you would like to draw upon. As you can see behind me, I draw upon many different types of information, many of these books being in the ancient history, social sciences, business studies, and so on, these different topics behind me. And there's many more where these come from as well. So being a reading and writing learner is a really interesting space to be in. Become aware of this because you can leverage this to your advantage, depending on what industry you're in, which can also be an indication of what your learning style is. If you enjoy being in a particular industry, consider what it is as a learning style that that industry requires. Perhaps being in that industry itself was inspired by your learning style in the first place. So reading and writing. Then you have your kinesthetic learners. So the word kinesthetic means motion in essence. Are you someone who learns best when you are in motion? So you are physically carrying out a certain task and then you are having breakthroughs in terms of your thinking or the results that you wish to gain. So for example, kinesthetic learners could include athletes. It could be people who are gardeners, for example, or people that need to use their physicality in order to come to certain outcomes and determine certain results. So kinesthetic learning is really interesting, and it's certainly a learning modality that can be incorporated into the other three mentioned and the other types of learning modalities which we're not focusing on today. The reason being, kinesthetic learning takes into account a range of different senses. So as you've heard from the other types of learning modalities in this particular model, the VARK model, the senses are what are being primarily engaged. You have the auditory, you have the visual, and now we have the touch, the taste, and yes, of course, we have the visual and the auditory as well, all being brought into one to make that kinesthetic learning experience even more rich and fulfilling. So have you ever had an experience where you have been walking or you have been in the process of doing something quite physical, maybe constructing furniture or any sort of task, and you've realized that ideas are flowing to you and so smoothly and effortlessly in this particular process? Well, this could be a sign that you are a kinesthetic learner as your primary modality of learning. So as I've been mentioning all of these different types of learning styles, I'm sure there have been many light bulb moments for you along this particular discussion. I'm really keen to interact and have more of a discussion with you, of course, about what you determine your learning style to be. So is it visual? Is it auditory? Is it reading and writing? Is it kinesthetic? Do you feel that it's a combination of these particular learning styles? I look forward to reading your comments below and having many more discussions on learning strategies and learning styles. I wish you all the best in your business and in life. All the best and every success. Take care. Cheers. Thank you for joining us to uplevel your business, skills, and knowledge. Click the links below and subscribe to the Clarified Solutions social media platforms to receive regular updates. Weekly resources will be provided, along with gifts, to assist you in your journey in upleveling your business expertise and confidence. We look forward to continuing to support you in your journey as you become the leaders and the business experts you wish to be.